Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I want to be giving my thoughts on Superman Smashes the Klan, written by Jean Luen Yang, with art by Goody Hiru. So, just before I get into this, Jean Yang, I read a bit of his new Superman, which I really enjoyed, and I've been meaning to get back to at some point. Uh, Goody Hiru, I knew of Goody Hiru from the old Avatar comics from Dark Horse, which I think Yang also wrote, which I never read, but I wanted to, and so their art really stood out to me, so I remembered them. But then I didn't actually read anything from Guru Hero until Unbelievable, Unbelievable Gwenpool. I forgot the title for a second, uh, but I really enjoyed their art on that. And if you've seen some of my hauls, you'll know that I've picked up other comics with art by Gritty Hiru, like the not Superman, Spider-Man, Venom, Double Trouble, and then a Captain America trade that has a one shot that they drew. So I really like their art, and I was really excited to see them do something with DC. Um, Yang, I enjoyed his new Superman, so I figured this would be a good little Superman book. But the thing that really drew me to this was it is an adaptation of an old radio play. So I've listened to a bit of the Superman radio stuff, only like the first arc, and I did that like a year ago. But uh, this idea of like taking those old stories and then just adapting them as comics was really appealing to me. Um, this story in particular wasn't like I've heard of the Superman taking on the KKK story before, right? But like I'm not here specifically for that story. I picked this up because it's an adaptation of the radio stuff and because I like the creators involved. Um, so our story here is uh, Chinese immigrants who had been living in Chinatown move to like the suburbs of Metropolis, right? And the KKK doesn't like that, and so they burn a cross on their lawn and just sort of things like that. We've just got the KKK being who they are, and our main characters here are sort of the little daughter of the Chinese family, Roberta, and Superman. And Yang did a really good job, sort of like, well, one, this is a period piece. It's set in the 40s, like at the time of the radio play would have come out. So Superman's scaled down very much at the start. Um, but then later on, Yang brings in some of those other powers, like in a flashback, and I think the first, like, issue it would have been, because this was released as a 3-issue series before getting put into a trade here. I think it would have been somewhere in the first issue where we get a flashback to Clark Kent sort of floating and starting to shoot laser beams out of his eyes. Um, his other powers that are more like how do I say this? The superpowers you associate with Superman nowadays that didn't exist back then are here, and they're brought in, and it's interesting and I think integrated well. But like I also really liked having sort of a scaled back Superman at the start, more in line with the times. Like he's just strong. He can just jump high. He can run really fast. I don't know if this was from the radio play or if this was something that Yang invented. I want to assume that most of this stuff was from the radio play and just adapted to comic book. But like Superman running on the power lines so he doesn't like bump into traffic or people is funny, and it's also like a very Superman thing where it's like, all right, I don't want. He's not just trying to save people. He doesn't want to inconvenience people. He's just trying to be like polite and helpful, and I really liked that. And overall, I really enjoyed this book. I think Guri Hiro's art is great. I really like how they draw Superman, because again, I've only read um, Gwenpool, which is a like 19-year-old girl, and then the Captain America one I read. They didn't draw Captain America as bulky as Superman in this, but I really liked it. I think their artwork is very cute and very appealing. Um, Superman's face looks a little funny sometimes in the cartoony style, but I think overall it works really well. Um, and like because we're set in the 40s, we're pulling from like the designs of things at that time. So like we get to look at like really classic Kryptonian designs, like when we see Jor-El, which is really, really cool. So artwork, great. Story, really good. My only issue with this whole book, and it's not something that I don't think can really be helped, because this is for, like, I think this is part of their young adult line, right? DC graphic novels for young adults. This entire book is dealing with the KKK and like racism and things like that, but it feels like they really have to pull their punches in spots. We have, I think, only one racial slur for Chinese in this, and it seems like they went through the list and like, all right, which one of these do we think will be the least offensive, that we can just say as much as we want and they'll get the point across, but we don't want to say like all of them. So we get the one racial slur and we hear it a lot, and that's again another issue, is like everything is so blunt and in your face, and I get it, this is meant for younger readers, you want to get your point across, but there's a real lack of subtlety that makes it a bit off-putting as an adult reading this. But overall, I think this is a good little Superman story. I think the artwork is good. Again, it's blunt with its message, which like it beats you over the head with it a little bit. But again, it's for kids, so I can't really fault it too much for that. But the thing I especially liked was like it being set in the 40s and sort of the aesthetic and just everything about that, like a scaled back Superman. Again, I like all of Superman's powers, but sort of having him just be like strong and like he's just a better human, like he's stronger and faster and things like that was really cool. I get that this was a one-off, right? Like, all right, we're gonna do this book here about the KKK, and that's why they sort of pulled from the radio play to do that. I'd love to see them go and grab some other stories from that and adapt them, like especially if you get Yang and Gurihiru again. I would love that. I think more Superman stories set in the 40s by this creative team would be great. And like, not to say that you shouldn't have like a message of your book, but I'd like to see them do just something that's more fun. Like, I get that this came out and it was to be like, all right, we're really going to tackle this issue at the time, but like I'd like to see Yang just do like a really fun Superman book, like adapting some old radio play stuff. I think it would be really cool. And also, my last little nitpick, I really don't like the cover. I assume this is what standard YA covers are like. I don't like it. Like, Superman is so small in the corner, we got our characters down there in the other corner just so small, and we got the title so big. I just don't like it. I don't think it looks very good to me. And then this was released as a 3-issue series and then published as this graphic novel. None of those covers in their entirety are anywhere in the book, which is disappointing, because the first issue, like all 3 of them had good covers, and they're only shown in this book at the very end. Yang does like a little write-up sort of talking, it's talking about a lot of different things. It's talking about like his experience facing racism as a young Asian kid, and then sort of like the struggles of his parents immigrating to America, and then also just talking about like the history of the KKK and some World War II stuff. And so like we don't even see the full covers there. We see like little cropped versions of them, which is unfortunate, because I think those covers were really nice, and I would have preferred them to be the actual cover than what we got. Also, I mentioned this, I remember mentioning this a long time ago when I actually got this. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Please focus on this right here. Please. Please look at this. There we go. Whoever designed the spine put Superman flying, but they flipped it. So the S on his chest is all backwards, which makes me laugh. But yeah, this is a good book, I think. If you have kids, I think this is a good one to just toss at them. Again, it's very kid-friendly, and that's clearly who this is for. But yeah, just a fun little Superman book that a little blunt in its messaging, and that's it. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.